Well, that was fun. Texas Tech dominates UNT 66-21 in a game that was really over midway through the second quarter. The Red Raiders dominate in all three facets of the game, and it's always a great day to be a Red Raider, but it's a phenomenal day when Texas Tech wins on the gridiron. In today's video, we'll recap this win for Texas Tech, take a look ahead, and discuss the standouts and why this could be a huge momentum boost for the Red Raiders with the Big 12 play and conference play set to start next week out in the 806. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast. If you haven't already, be sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button if you are excited about this dominant Texas Tech victory as they head into Big 12 play at 2-1. And while you're down there liking the video, answer one question for me. Give me your one word to describe this Texas Tech 66-21 victory over, well, a lot of familiar faces on the UNT sideline, but Texas Tech didn't really give a damn as they destroyed the Mean Green in this one in a game that was basically over midway through the second quarter. Let me know your one word down below, though. All right. I think we should just jump right into the stats. How about that? Let's just jump right into the stats. See them on your screen right now. Behren Morton was sensational against UNT. And before anybody comes at me in the comments saying this is what Texas Tech should look like against UNT, right? Texas Tech is so much better than UNT. Yeah, I would tend to agree. But after the first two games of the season where Texas Tech struggled, you didn't know what to expect. And Texas Tech gave you no reason to expect anything like this. But in the first quarter of this game, you could tell Texas Tech was coming out with a vengeance. They started with 4 straight runs to Taj Brooks, and from there, the floodgates opened. Behren Morton had as many touchdown passes as he did incompletions in terms of passing touchdowns. He actually had more total touchdowns than he did incompletions in this one. This was one of Behren Morton's better games in the Scarlet and Black. You see Cam Brown there and Will Hammond. Will Hammond made a couple of throws where you were like, all right, kid, yep, you got up next. We understood. And then you see the receivers in this one. 12 Texas Tech wide receivers caught at least one pass on the 24 completions for 354 yards and 4 touchdowns. Nobody on the team had more than 5 targets. You had Jordan Brown and Micah Hudson actually tied with 5 targets, and all of Micah Hudson's targets came in the second half where he should have almost had a touchdown, but he got his shoelaces slipped up there in a shoestring tackle by UNT. When it comes to Taj Brooks, he was sensational. That's 17 for 109 and 1 all came in the first half. You did not see Taj Brooks in the second half, and no need to when you have true freshmen Cam Dickey and Jacoby Williams combined for 14 rushing attempts, 102 yards, and 2 tutties. They were awesome. The Thunder and Lightning duo in the true freshman setting were sensational, and you can tell they have next when it comes to the Red Raider backfield. But shifting sides of the football to defense, I thought this was the kind of game the Red Raiders had to have when it came down to it. You see the sacks on there, right? You only have 1. The tackles for loss were 5, but overall, Texas Tech really made an impact when it came down to it in pressuring the quarterback and hurrying the decision-making of Chandler Morris of UNT. That was something that really stood out. They had almost 20 QB hurries, almost double-digit QB pressures. Granted, only 1 sack, but they were really disruptive in this one. Elsewhere on this stat sheet, I think you should look. Go all the way over to the right side and you see penalties, 8 for 55. Yes, that number should be a little lower, but if we just look at the starting aspect of it, the starters for the Red Raiders had 3 penalties for 30 yards, and most of them really were just ticky-tacky when they were going, super fast. And again, that's frustrating because if Texas Tech wants to do that, got to slow down a little bit more. But overall, this team was absolutely sensational today against North Texas. And in my opinion, as I shift back to being onto the screen here, it all started with that first drive and having Taj Brooks back on the field. And not to say that there weren't other difference makers, but you can tell pretty much right away what kind of game you're going to get from Texas Tech early on in terms of the trenches, not only on the offensive side, but the defensive side. Taj Brooks set the tone, and so did the offensive line on that first drive with 4 carries to really put Texas Tech in business, and then they capped it off with a touchdown pass to Josh Kelly. I thought Behren Morton was sensational. I thought the play calling from Zach Kittley was sensational, and this is coming from a guy that's been hypercritical of Zach Kittley, and rightfully so the first 2 games, but when somebody does their job well, they deserve to get credit and get their flowers, and Zach Kittley deserves to have his flowers for this matchup. Now, Another thing that really stood out to me was this offensive line. This offensive line was one where they had to shuffle around pieces, right? You think about it, you did not have your starting left tackle or left guard in terms of starting the season. Sterling Porche was out with a head injury. They hope to have him back next week against Arizona State. You lose Vinny Scurry for the season due to a knee injury. So Caleb Rogers shifts from the right guard position to the left guard. You have Sheridan Wilson there at center, Davon Carter at right guard, and then Ty Buchanan at right tackle, with the bookends being the aforementioned Ty Buchanan at right tackle, and Dalton Merriman at left tackle. I thought the offensive line unit played the best that we have seen a Texas Tech offensive line group play, maybe in the Joey McGuire era. And that is not a hyperbole or trying to boost them up. Go watch it. They were sensational in setting the tone when it came to the run game, and that made life easier for Baron Morton, who really, he only got touched by UNT's defense twice, and one of them he made a crazy play on, but luckily he was down on it and Texas Tech recovered. But overall, I thought this offensive line, outside of really one or two mishaps, played damn near a perfect game. Transition to the defensive side, where they struggled to contain running quarterbacks. And we talked about it last week on the channel leading up to the UNT matchup, where the biggest thing for this Texas Tech defense was to stay in their run lanes on that defensive line and set contain. Make Chandler Morris beat you from the pocket. And guess what? He couldn't do it. Now, fair to Chandler Morris, his receivers didn't help him in terms of dropping two passes that led to Texas Tech interceptions, but he had an abysmal throw to the outside where Braylon Lux had a pick six, and Texas Tech secondary was giving Chandler Morris nightmares all day long. Really, there was only one bad play by the defense in this game in terms of the starters, and that was that 75-yard touchdown play where UNT scored on the first play of the drive, and really it was just bad contain in the secondary and the linebacker positions for Texas Tech. Outside of that, they were simply sensational in every facet of the game. They took the ball away 3 times. They did not turn it over all but once, and that was Cam Brown, who struggled to throw the football. But overall, we were nitpicky, in week 1. You got the win, and rightfully so. We should have been nitpicky. We were really, really coming for the coaches and the players after week 2 in terms of the content space and Texas Tech fans on social media. This week, they came out and they absolutely put both feet down on the pedal and did not let up. They put up 52 points in the first half, people. It was 52-7 at halftime. They had a 50 burger at halftime. Unbelievable stuff. I thought Zach Kitley had a sensational game, but it all started with Taz Brooks and really the run game in general, because Texas Tech came out, solidified the run, and that opened up gigantic windows for Baron Morton, who I thought had a couple of beautiful throws in this one, most notably to Coy Aiken on a 70-yard touchdown pass where he dropped it right over on a laser over the UNT corner for a 70-yard touchdown to Coy Aiken. This was the type of game Texas Tech needed to go into Big 12 play, right? In the sense of week 1, you barely hang on and beat Abilene Christian. Okay, you're 1-0, you don't like it, whatever. You move on, you play Washington State, and you just get your shit rocked. I mean, they beat the hell out of you, right? In really every facet of the game. How was Texas Tech going to respond? I thought Texas Tech would win this game. I really did. But if anyone were to tell you that Texas Tech was going to win 66-21, and really it didn't feel like it was that close, right? They beat UNT by 45 points. 45 points. Quick math right there. That's a Texas Tech education, even though I didn't go to school there for math, right? It didn't feel that close in this game. It felt like Texas Tech beat UNT by 70, right? And that is a testament to these players trusting the game plan, the coaches making creative adjustments. And the best part about this is, from a confidence standpoint, your starters get confidence, but now your young guys do too. You got to see Will Hammond. You got to see Micah Hudson. You got to see Jacoby Williams. You got to see, the Tyson Turners of the world. You got to see some of those guys on the defensive side that are younger make plays and gain confidence. And now if you're a Texas Tech fan, you feel much better about going into Big 12 play 2-1 with this kind of performance leading into it. Now, the competition's about to get a lot more difficult, and you have to sustain this level of play. But you feel a lot better that they did this against UNT going into Arizona State, as opposed to the alternative, right? You got confidence moving in. Your offensive line looked good. It looked like you figured some things out on the defensive line and the communication side on that side of the ball. And the Red Raiders will go in and face off against Arizona State, a 3-0 team, a team that just beat Texas State. And I know what y'all are thinking. It's Texas State. Texas State may be the team that makes the playoff in the non-group of, or the group of 5, excuse me. They're that good. So Arizona State coming in riding high as well. They will face Texas Tech next weekend at 2:30. But overall, this is about as good of a game as you could have asked for if you're a part of Red Raider Nation. And Texas Tech came out and absolutely beat the brakes off of UNT. This game was not close. Again, 52-7 at halftime. Texas Tech came out and sent a message and then some. Period. End of story. And now you feel really, really good going into Big 12 play, where you still got to work on some things. It wasn't a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination, but you got your confidence right. You got those guys some meaningful reps in terms of your offensive line and defensive line going in with confidence now. And now, if you look at it, your goals and aspirations are still right in front of you if you're Texas Tech. Now the meaningful season starts in terms of conference play, and you get 2 games at home. But don't look ahead to Cincinnati. Focus on Arizona State, a team that's coming in at 3-0, but hell of a day to be a Red Raider. Every day is a hell of a day to be a Red Raider. But like I said earlier, when they went on the gridiron, it is a phenomenal day to be a Texas Tech Red Raider. One more time, if you haven't already, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell to join the largest group of Texas Tech fans here on YouTube. Over 10,600 Red Raiders here. And the best part about this channel, really there's 2 best parts. We're 100% honest with you. We ain't going to sugarcoat anything. We're just going to be honest with you. Sometimes we'll be wrong. That's life. But we're going to be 100% honest with you. And the best part about it, after that, it's 100% free. All you got to do is like the video and hit that subscribe button for 100% free and authentic Texas Tech content all year long, whether it's happening on the gridiron or the hardwood for Coach McCaslin's crew. We've got you covered right here on the most subscribed to Texas Tech YouTube channel and the Back to 12 podcast channel.